Now, we're going to play you a little recording of someone who's not in Shanghai.
No, different part of China.
Yeah,
we did want to give equal representation to places that were not Shanghai, which is the only thing in the news right now, because this is happening around China a lot.
Yeah. So now this recording you're going to hear is of how the lockdown has progressed as far as access to food is concerned. Now, the reason we're going to show you this is from about, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, this particular...
In a different area.
Yeah, in a completely different area from Shanghai. But we're seeing the same stuff happening in Shanghai now. So we're just going to play this clip quickly for you to listen to. It is important for you to hear this out. And the guy who did this, well, he's a good guy and he's in some trouble. Let's listen.
So when the lockdown first started about 3 weeks ago, at first it was kind of a voluntary lockdown. We got a notification from the local authorities, everybody try to stay home, don't go out much, only if you need groceries, get that, and just try to stay home. Everybody do your part. Well, that lasted for about 2 or 3 days, and then they said, okay, we're gonna take it up a notch. Each household is gonna get a pass, and one person from each household is allowed to go out once every other day to buy food at the grocery or the supermarket. At that point, pretty much all businesses except supermarkets had already been closed. So that lasted for a few days, but it didn't last that long. And then they went ahead and took it up another notch where they said, okay, we're gonna put everybody on a hard lockdown for about half a week. Half a week. You're gonna be at home. You can't go out. You can't leave your community. Yeah, if you need to take out the trash or something, that's fine. But you can still order groceries from supermarkets through your app, which there is an app called Meituan, which is, it's an app on your phone. And usually you can order food from restaurants and stuff. And you can order groceries and all kinds of stuff, and then it'll be delivered to you. It's a really, really nice service. For a while, you could still order your groceries through that. But the thing is, since nobody could go out, everybody was trying to use that, and supermarkets were just too busy. They couldn't keep up with the demand. Yeah, we tried for days and days, and we were unable to get any food delivered. We just couldn't get our orders in quick enough because all their slots were full. So we were unable to order any groceries that way. But at that time, groceries and little small supermarkets and stuff like that, they were allowed to stay open because they're an essential business. People need that. You know, people need food, obviously. So that half a week came and went, and they didn't say anything. They just kept everybody on the hard lockdown where nobody can leave. So another development has transpired, and this one's pretty big. So the latest development is that all groceries have pretty much been ordered to close down, and only like your community's management group and the like local district government offices, they're going to prepare food for you, and you can buy it. You pay for it on your phone, and you can buy it, and they'll deliver it to you. I don't know how often they're going to do it, but you get no say in what's delivered. I've seen the picture of the foods they're going to deliver. It's like a couple potatoes, some cabbage, some Chinese cabbage, 2 carrots, some ginger, an onion, a couple radishes, just stuff like this. No eggs, no meat, no type of grain or rice or bread or noodles, nothing like that. Just all vegetables, which is pretty healthy. But what if you don't have any rice? What if you don't have any soap? Like, we are running a little bit low on dish soap. It can probably last us a week, but you know, once you're out of dish soap, what are you going to do? What if you have no rice at home? Things like this. I mean, you have no say in it. Right now, we're totally reliant on the authorities to give us food.
This is actually what we've seen happen.
Yeah.
Right? So what's going on here, like for example, right here is a great little anecdote.
Yeah, what you're seeing in the background.
She's trying to use the app to get the government rations, basically, right? Yeah. And they have a thing where they have to how do you say qiang in English?
I guess like a book.
Book it, yeah.
You gotta like grab it.
You have to like grab it in time. Yeah. And the problem is that people are staying up all night to reserve these government groceries, because what they've done, like what that guy was saying, is they've consolidated control over all the food divvying.
Yeah.
So you have a situation now where the government was worried that they weren't going to get the bulk of the credit for this zero COVID lockdown crap. So they're like, oh, what if, people start, chiding the supermarkets for being so altruistic and being open at all times to these people, right? So we have to take control of it. So they shut down the supermarkets, and they're like, we'll send out the food. We'll be the ones that do that, right? And the problem with that is that people can't get it in time. Sure. We've had cases, we've talked to people where they're, when it does arrive, people are stealing it and then selling it on the black market. The quality varies wildly depending on where you are. For example, like this was considered a good one, as a bunch of raw chickens like left in bags. But these people got meat, right?
Yeah.
The vast majority of people didn't get meat.
They're getting like a cabbage and a couple of potatoes and stuff. But
for a whole family, for a week.
I'm going to give you a different take on that, right?
Sure.
Okay. Basically, China has a fantastic delivery system, a network. Sure. It works incredibly well, okay? We've experienced it. Remember, $2 saved my ass. I left my charger at your house that night, and I got it delivered literally the same day. Next morning, it arrived. You called them over, and they picked it up, and it arrived at my house in like a different city the next day. It works well. However, it's never been put under this much stress.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you've got 25 million people all in lockdown, all trying to order takeaway food, it just can't cope.
Well, not to mention the other cities as well. You're just talking about one.
I'm talking about Shanghai right now. Now, on top of that, the delivery guys are subject to very stringent testing, basically. Every time they pick in stuff up and stuff, they have to produce like all their papers, and it's a big thing. Now, the problem is, first of all, it's impossible for them to fulfill orders, right? So that's what you see. People trying to order, but nothing's available. People are waking up because they're waking up at like 1 a.m. or 12 just after to try and order, try to get in that queue, try to order something, okay? But then everything's ordered up, and then there's nothing to be ordered. So people are left hungry. There are people that we know who've been complaining that they can't have access to water and very basic things, because in China you can't drink the tap water.
I had a buddy of mine, actually. He tried to take a picture of the shelves of where they deliver the food, because they keep getting stolen, right?
Yeah.
So he tried to take a picture, or like a little video with his phone, of these shelves. And a lot of the residents there, the Chinese residents there, were calling him a foreign spy, saying, why do you need to take those shelves? And then they talked about this foreign act, like foreign filming act, so he's not allowed to do that. So they're going to call the cops on him and stuff. There's crazy like paranoia. People aren't getting their stuff.
So basically, it's gotten to a point now where nobody can order anything online by themselves anymore because it's all jammed up. Then they start this idea that every community, like every housing building, like the Guanlichu or whatever.
Management.
Okay, so the management office now is set up like WeChat groups for each building. And then what happens is everybody kind of can order from that central management office. They set up a little portal where people can go and in the WeChat group order.
Again, and I suspect this is because the government wants the credit for the food.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sure they do. But the fact of the matter is, then what you're doing is instead of getting like 1 billion orders coming out of this thing, you get one bulk order. That still wasn't working out, okay? Then they decided that they're going to completely scrap this whole idea, and then the government's going to supply you with like every household with a little package. Okay, and another reason, first of all, they're charging for these packages 3 times the usual price that vegetables would normally cost. And it's mandatory. You have to pay it. If you want food, you have to buy this stuff, right? So they're charging more for it. But here's the thing. I suspected a while ago that they're going to start blaming the delivery guys as a means of spreading the virus. And that's why they want to cut them out. And it turns out, from what I've been reading now, is that's what they're saying now.
Well, we did get footage of the Red Guards, those volunteers, actually taking down delivery drivers.
Well, it makes sense. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is, I think it is true that they've now, because they cannot stop the spread of Omicron, right? No. It keeps spreading. So they keep reaching for reasons. They're like, oh, people are going out to buy their food, so that must be a reason. Stop them going out. Okay, then they're like,
what's the newest one? It came from Korea. It's coming from
Korean clothes.
Clothing.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, they're saying clothing brands are bringing it in anyway, which is dumb. The thing is, then they're like, oh, it must be the delivery guys because they're going from place to place. They're probably spreading it, so we're going to cut that out. Only government, like stormtrooper hazmat people are allowed to deliver anything now. So people are kind of stuck. And they're stuck in a situation where you're supposed to get free deliveries from the government, like a package for every couple of days you receive one, right? And some privileged foreigners who are on that list are getting free deliveries. But
and they want to do that so they can spread propaganda to say, we got our deliveries.
But for the not so privileged, they have to pay. They have to pay a lot. And even the privileged ones are paying. Yeah, and then they don't receive it. And it gets stolen as well.
That's a huge, the stealing thing is a huge thing, because what a lot of people are doing is stealing it and then selling it upmarket. They're finding a way to profit.
People are like bartering now with their neighbors. I'm reading all these stories about people
give
like
you a cucumber.
Yeah, it's like, cabbage. I'll give you some canned sodas for a head of lettuce or whatever. You know, there's all sorts of stuff like that going on. It's ridiculous, the kind of things that are going on. Anyway,
so let's keep going. I want to show you some more stuff about
let's keep going. So it's very difficult.
This is sent to me by a subscriber.
Yeah.
In the front of the building. It's just a bunch of raw chickens, but they got meat, like I said. That was rare.
Okay.
Okay, so here's some screenshots of an example. This is another subscriber sent this. Everything's gone, right? So all these rationed things here that you see, some noodles.
You can't order them, they're gone.
You can't order, they're gone. They're just gone. So it doesn't matter when you wake up, doesn't matter when, like you cannot get your hands on these food products right now.
Yeah.
So this whole fantasy about the government taking care of everyone is being propagated by state media in China, but actually when you look at the nitty-gritty of it, everyone on the ground knows, and it's causing a lot of unrest. People are taking to the streets, they're trying to bust out, there's a lot of police, they've had to call the military, which we'll cover in a bit.
Yeah.
And it's causing a lot of unrest because people are not used to this in Shanghai.
No, they're not.
This is a next level oppression. If you look here on the left here, this is for a city in Jiangxi. I wanted to cover areas that were not necessarily just Shanghai.
Jiangxi is very far away from Shanghai.
Yes, it's also eastern China, but it's way in the south.
Yeah. We used to ride there all the time.
We used to spend a lot of time there. I always had fun there. Very rural though.
Yeah.
So anyway, this city here is they put out this government statement. They said, listen, you're gonna have to go into quarantine if you come back, right?
Yeah, if you have a positive,
case. So if you come back and you have a positive case, and you have to pay for that facility, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be 100 RMB per day for food and 200 RMB per day for your living facility. This is a box, right?
Yeah, it's one of those. You've probably seen it circulating around where they have it's kind of like a quarter size of a shipping container.
Sure.
You know, and it's this little thing with bars on the windows. You know,
tin and plastic or whatever. Yeah. Anyway. That turns out to be about let's say $50 a day, right?
Yeah.
Now for a rural person in Jiangxi, that's astronomical. I mean, some of these people are making 300 RMB per week.
Yeah,
right?
Or even per month in some cases.
In some cases.
Yeah, very rare. But still, that's a huge amount of money, 300 RMB.
So the problem with that is that they know people aren't going to be able to pay this. It's a very poor province, right?
Sure.
They know a lot of people are going to be able to pay this, and this is a very good example here. If you're not able to pay that before your time is up in your quarantine facility, you actually get put on a list which is related to the social credit system. You actually get your social credit system points reduced.
Yeah. Did they not say you're not allowed to leave until you pay up?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're going to be stuck there as well.
Well, if you don't, then you're on the list, right?
Sure.
For the social credit system. So it was really interesting to see an example of quarantine, the current lockdown being tied to the social credit system, which has been implemented in certain areas.
And also the fact that the quarantine facilities aren't free.
No.
You know, because a lot of people are seeing the Chinese government as this altruistic, entity that's just looking after the people, and they're taking care of this situation. Yeah. And don't you worry, if you get COVID, they're going to isolate you for a while. You're going to be okay. What they don't point out is that throughout this entire COVID episode, every time you've had to quarantine, you've had to pay for your own hotel. You've had to pay for your own food. You've had to pay for your own expenses.
This is not a communist country like you may fantasize about.
They're not there to look after you. They're there to charge you. They're there to imprison you and then charge you for that imprisonment.
The advantage of an authoritarian system is you get to you have some of your freedoms reduced. You have freedom of speech reduced, freedom of religion, let's say, freedom of assembly. But the average person, by and large, doesn't use those freedoms anyway. That's the idea, right? So a lot of people will try authoritarian systems because, okay, you take a hit for that kind of stuff, for social stability as a reward, and then also infrastructure. Everything can be made quickly because you don't have to go through bureaucracy and red tape, right?
Sure.
The reality of the situation is the benefits of the authoritarian society are usually claimed as being, in crisis, a country like China could deal with something very well, right?
Yes.
When you actually look at it, UK, New Zealand, the US, right? You have you had a situation where people were like, wow, we're going to have to prepare for this. This is crazy, blah, blah, blah. What people thought or saw as like chaos or whatever is absolutely nothing compared to what you're seeing in China. China, this authoritarian system that doesn't have to go through red tape and has all this ways to procure ways for their citizens to be able to get through this, right?
Yeah.
Providing them with everything they need actually doesn't happen.
No.
And it's almost anarchy because they're not set up for this. In fact, it's the polar opposite of how China operates. Yeah. China operates in a knee-jerk reaction and can't deal with the slightest bit of issue. There's never any preparation for it.
Right.
It's the opposite of what they're trying to portray.
Correct.
And it's something that you'll see throughout this. But this is a journalist for the BBC. He's currently in Shanghai.
Yes.
Read through what he was saying.
This is just some of his tweets. This is from yesterday. He says, Shanghai's strict lockdown has been extended indefinitely, and it's still impossible to order food and water. Got up at 5:30 a.m. again today, but still system gridlock. As I tried to place my order, my basket depleted as essentials sold out. Madness. Next, he says, nobody is allowed outside. Not even one person to collect essentials. Given vegetables yesterday by government, but only enough for a couple of days. Need meat, rice, eggs, and most importantly, water. Many of my friends in the same position. What about the elderly who don't use apps? Question mark, question mark. Now, again, before we continue with his reading his thing, I got to say, water is very important.
Very.
Shanghai is China's most sophisticated.
Oh, it's definitely the best city.
Top of the line city.
Sure.
It's the jewel of, the pearl of the Orient, as all that nonsense. Guess what? You cannot drink the tap water there. As you can't drink the tap water anywhere in China. You'd think if they're going to get it right somewhere, that would be Shanghai.
You'd think, but it's no.
But you
not
can't.
even not even near the level of being able to drink.
And boiling the water doesn't help. It's still full of heavy metals and other things which cannot get rid of. You can't get rid of that by boiling water.
I mean, you technically could drink it.
Yes.
But it's not good long term.
No. So you have to understand that people are being stuck in a situation without water. Now, some buildings' water's actually been cut off so they can't even boil it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So you got to understand that. It's even worse.
Yeah, we've seen videos. Actually, somebody sent us a video of their tap being turned off.
Yeah.
So that was
so
nice.
I mean, the fact of the matter is this is an essential that they cannot get a hold of. So I just wanted to put that in,
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep looking what he has to say here. I stocked for a little more than 5 days, but many others didn't as they'd been told it's a 5-day lockdown.
That's the issue. Again, I want to highlight this. What you saw from state media, like people like Andy Boreham, is that this wasn't going to be an issue.
No.
So the foreigners were being told that this wasn't an issue. And then also state media and Chinese was saying this wasn't going to be an issue. We're going to let you do quarantine at home. We're going to, this is not a big deal. You're not going to be in full lockdown. You'll have full access to anything. Bam. What happens?
Yeah. Then they changed their mind. And like they said, they had that whole plan to, we're just going to lock down this half. Then we're going to let you out and lock down the other half. It's going to be a staggered approach. Guess what? It's not a staggered approach. Both sides are currently locked down indefinitely. So the people who believe the government, which is a very naive thing to do in China, they thought, okay, we're going to be in the home for 5 days and get a couple of things, Although a lot of them don't trust the government and they went to the shops, remember, and tore them apart. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, you listen to the government, you get screwed.
Yes.
Anyway, he continues. He says, you can't expect a house to survive on a few carrots and eggplant and cabbage for an indefinite period. Plus, we all need water to drink. For China's economic hub, it's a joke. Then he says, the limited shops that are open for orders are running out of stock. But good luck getting a delivery. The delivery riders who are operating are heroes to many, but clearly the system is unable to cope with a city of 25 million people panicking and trying to order essentials.
Yeah.
And he goes on and on about a couple more things. But you see, this is what's happening on the ground in Shanghai right now. People have been sending us all sorts of videos and stuff too, which, there's one unfortunate thing being in our position is that when we show someone's video, we put them in danger. And so we have to be very careful.
We have to pick and choose which ones we use. Because there's ones like, for example, I was thinking about that one with a tap in it, but you can see exactly out the window where
you can see where they are. People, anyway.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next thing that we've got going on here.
The reason they're in danger, by the way, guys, for all you new viewers out there, in case there's people in here, is that if the Chinese government finds out people sent us videos, they are in trouble in China.
Yes.
They will be punished. That's how crazy
Yeah.
China is. I mean, that some people might not understand this.
That's
but
how it works.
It's crazy.
You know, they love to control everything. And so if there's any media coming out that shows them failing, if they can squash that, they squash it. Anyway, now we're going to talk about some of the absolute...
Well, I wanted to use this as juxtaposition. So, like, for example, China pays foreigners, right, to spread Chinese propaganda. And the newest thing is to get people, like you saw Andy Boreham, that tweet saying, that,
oh it's not a big deal. It's totally fine.
You also get this guy living in China. And other foreigners that they pay to say, guess what? All you're seeing about this crazy lockdown stuff, that's just CIA propaganda, right? The reality is that we can eat Burger King here on the street. And what they're doing is they're showing areas that are not currently in lockdown.
Yes.
To make it and deflect away from the fact that there is lockdown. To me, when this kind of stuff comes out and these videos come out about, oh, the true situation in China, it means something really, really bad is happening.
Yes, because what would be your motivation to go out there and do some absurd thing like this?
Right.
Because you know how insulting this is to the Chinese people who are currently suffering under lockdown.
They saw this.
Yeah, but here you've got as we know, CCP shill white monkey guy out there. What is he doing? Oh, look, there's no lockdown. I can eat a hamburger outside on the street. Everything's cool. I'm not wearing a mask. Meanwhile, the people in Shanghai right now, many of them in terrible situations, starving. Not only there. The whole Jilin province is still under lockdown.
Yep.
So many different areas in China.
Millions
and millions and millions.
100 million plus people.
Just because he lives in, rural Guizhou where he can sit in a place and eat a burger, he gloats about it, and it's immoral.
There is a good thing to point out here, though, is that that's not even necessarily his idea.
Of course.
The government's putting out propaganda like this for you to watch, to say, oh, well, that weird, crazy video of a lady screaming or something, that must have been a long time ago. Oh, they play into that whole, it's just fake news.
Sure.
Because people are so used to that kind of claim, right?
Correct.
This is the reality of the situation, is that we're seeing deflection. And when there's deflection, it's usually really ugly, the reality.
Why doesn't he have any sauce or lettuce on his burger anyway?